Hey everyone, it's Jack here, TalkNorwichCity. Hope you guys are all doing very well indeed. The sun is still shining. We've had another 24 hours to reflect and try and rejuvenate ourselves ahead of the next Norwich City game. And I'm feeling somewhat more positive than I did on Saturday evening and Sunday. I think the new week brings new opportunity for Norwich City. And we've got a really intriguing Carabao Cup game against Liverpool to look at today. As always, a big thank you to OneFootball for sponsoring our preview and review content on TNC this season. They are the go-to app for all of your football goodness. It's completely free. You can download it using the link in the description. They've been brilliant supporters of us, so hopefully you can head over there and download it. As I say, completely free. Set Norwich as your favourite team. You'll be inundated with goodness from them throughout the season. As I say, a fascinating encounter this for Norwich City and an opportunity, actually. I often deem these cup games as a bit of a non-starter for Norwich, particularly when we're in the Championship, because often we're operating on a more limited squad and a slightly thinner squad than we do when we're in the Premier League, and we've got the opportunity of promotion to contend with. I think it's different this season. I think, especially having witnessed what we have done in the first 5 games of the Premier League season, no points on the board and some relatively dismal displays in there as well, coupled with the fact that we've got, a fair chunk of players who haven't played as much football as they would have liked. We had an interrupted pre-season due to COVID and all of the implications that brings along. I think, this presents a good opportunity, not only to get them players bedded in slightly more. You look at the likes of Ozan Kabak, who I think before Saturday, his prior domestic game to that was the previous April. So he's got a long period without playing. Matthias Norman isn't quite up to speed with things at Norwich. The likes of Christos Jolis, Josh Sargent, them kind of players haven't had regular game time. So I think this is a good opportunity, and I often say going into these cup games, I want to see wholesale changes. I don't want to risk injury to our key players. I don't think we can risk that this time, and it's not even necessarily about getting the result, because it's going to be difficult to predict how Liverpool set up. I think they'll go weak, but even a weak Liverpool squad is a good squad. But we need to see performance levels rise. We need to see a system in place that is consistent and sustainable, because so far I can't quite work out what we're trying to do. And we need to see consistent performances from players that we haven't seen so far. So I think, other than maybe Angus Goal playing in goal, and possibly, I'm not quite sure where, I'm recording this before Daniel Farke's press conference. I'm not quite sure on the kind of injury status surrounding Josh Sargent, because he looked like he had a bit of a, that hamstring didn't look entirely comfortable. I would pretty much go unchanged from Saturday. The only thing I would do is change the formation. Now, as I said prior, I don't quite know what this new formation brings. I don't think it brings more time on the ball. We look incredibly exposed in the wide areas. We've struggled to get Teemu Pukki into play for large portions of the game. And I think the criticism hasn't necessarily been for Teemu Pukki as a player. I think it's been towards the system that isn't, suiting Teemu Pukki's strengths. We saw on Saturday that if you play to Pukki's strengths, that is getting him off the shoulder of attackers, running in behind. He is one of the best finishers that this club has ever seen. Unfortunately, we've only been able to produce a couple of them chances for him this season, and hence why he hasn't really set the world alight. With that being said, I think I'd have Josh Sargent up front on his own. I would like to see a 4-2-3-1. Matthias Norman definitely starts in there. I'd also like to see Todd Cantwell in the 10. Possibly bring in Christos Jolis in for Milo Rashica, although I guess you could play all 3 of them if you've got 3 in behind the striker. And then I'd like to see a bit more from Billy Gilmour, because he's undoubtedly a quality footballer. I think he's maybe struggled slightly to adapt in kind of the scenario that we're in. He's used to winning football matches. He's come to Norwich and, you're not in front for games and you're chasing games and you've got to stay switched on. And I think he struggled in the system a little bit as well. That's not necessarily his fault, but we need to start playing to our good players' strengths. And I don't think we've done that at all this season. I've seen a bit of Jurgen Klopp chat ahead of this game. I think he'll be resting a lot of players. He's got a few players out. I think Thiago and Alexander-Arnold and Firmino, none of them will travel. So it's going to be a weak Liverpool side in Liverpool standards. I mean, I suspect they'll still play like a Divock Origi up front who's, scored Champions League goals, etc. But I think this is a really good chance for Norwich City to just not prove people wrong, because I think Norwich fans are just disappointed with what they've seen. I think we all know that there's potential in this squad, but we're yet to see it. And I think Daniel Farke, he will be keen to win some fans back around. It's a sold-out Carrow Road in front of a packed crowd. Yes, it's not a league game, and yes, arguably it's not as important as a league game. But in terms of trying to bounce back and kickstart what's a fairly dull season already, this could be a good foundation to do so. And then suddenly, if you get something from this and it's a promising result, things can change very quickly. You travel to an Everton side you got well beaten by Aston Villa, or without Calvert-Lewin, without Richarlison. I think Pickford's injured. You get a result there, then you're looking at Burnley and you're going, oh, maybe we can get something there. Things can change very quickly in football. Now, I'm not saying that is going to happen, but we've got more chance of that happening if we were to get something against Liverpool and if we were to put in a performance that warrants, that of a Premier League football team. I don't know. Let me know what you would do. As I say, pretty much an unchanged team if I'm Daniel Farke and I'm looking to get something really positive from this. Am I being completely delusional? And should I revert back to old type and say, change the squad up? It doesn't really matter this game. It's a cup tournament that we probably won't win, and let's not risk injury to players. I want to know what you would do if you were Daniel Farke. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you all again very soon. Bye-bye.